What's up, y'all? This is Jin. Welcome back to the channel. Today we just finished day 2 of the remote Duel YCS, the first one actually, and we brought our Tri-brigade deck and we were killing it day 1. We were 7-0 going into round 8, which was the last round of the day, and unfortunately we did take a loss there to Drytron in round 8, leaving us X1, second place in our Group E bracket. That brings us to day 2. In the last round, unfortunately, we did lose to Cyber Dragon, which is an amazing deck piloted by an amazing player. It was a fellow YouTuber, Hukuna Data. Congratulations to him for making top 32 with his deck. There were so many people. This was my first YCS experience. It was a very pleasurable experience. Despite being done remotely, I was able to meet a lot of great players and get a lot of good practice in. So what I wanted to do today was go over a tournament report with my deck. I'll just get into the matchups we played. It's a little cat scratchy, but we did play the family, the Tri-brigade deck. Reason why I chose this deck was essentially because I already had the Tri-brigade cards. I played Zodiac from the last format, and it wasn't until like a week before the event that I determined with myself that I felt like Drytron was the strongest deck of the format. It was a week before and I felt the most comfortable with Tri-brigade. So what I wanted to do was work Tri-brigade the way I'm comfortable with it and just be able to pilot it to the best of my ability, which ended up working out pretty well actually. I wasn't expecting to even make day 2. And fortunately for us, we do get the field center of the Duel Links Dragon retrain. So that's pretty amazing and very exciting, especially for my first YCS. I'm very excited. I am playing a different version of this deck than I would have preferred. I would have preferred to play with Rescue Cats and Prosperities, but instead I'm playing with some other not so spicy spice, but it's an iteration of the deck that I'm comfortable with and that I found was still powerful in its own right. In hindsight, if I were to pick another deck for this event, it would have been Drytron, but hindsight's 2020, so take that with a grain of salt. That's why I chose the deck. Here are my matchups. So round 1, we started versus Altergeist. Essentially, it seemed like that player didn't really know how the deck Tri-brigade functioned. I would normal summon Nerval, and I guess he thought they were quick effects, so he would let me banish for Shurag and such. And for that reason, I was able to back up a lot of unnecessary advantage and take the win. It could have been a close one. Could have been a really close one. So I 2-0'd that one, lost the die roll. Round 2, I played Sky Strikers, 2-0. I think I did win the die roll, so I set up a field with hand traps. I think I just did Rugal. I didn't make an Appaloosa because I didn't want to blind Appaloosa when I had so many hand traps in hand. So then, for those hand traps, I won the going first. And then game 2, I remember him going first, and then an open Duster. He does his thing. He has multi-roll, sets 4, has a Widow Anchor hand, and then I Feather Duster him, and it just all rolls into my favor from there. Round 3, we played Drytron. We played one of the YCS champions from 2017, Mohammed Khan. It was a pleasure playing you. And it was a pleasure meeting you as well. So in that matchup, we did lose game 1. He popped off and did Drytron things. And in game 2 and 3, don't remember the details, but I think I just had good choke points for his build. Ended up winning from there. So that was a very tough fought round 3. We did lose the die roll, so evidently we lost game 1. So now we're at 12 points, still undefeated. Round 4, we played Eldlich. He's a version that was playing Tri-brigade Hate. So he main decked like the Necrobanshee and Zombie World, which is insane. But luckily for us, it didn't really make a difference until game 2, where he actually played those cards. And then I had my Zodiac engine to make use of it. I go Twin Twist to the back row, normal summon Zodiac. He only has Zombie World, swing, make Zeus, and that's it from there. Very quick round 4. So round 5, we played Drytron. I did win the die roll, so I probably made an Appaloosa. Just because since we were slimming out, I was expecting a lot of the lower ceiling decks to fall off. So that at that point, I was going to make Appaloosa. That way, a lot of the combo heavier decks would struggle against that. So then after the Drytron matchup, we played against a good friend of ours that we met, Damien. We'll be featuring him on the channel as well. He was very enthusiastic, very charismatic, and a pleasure to meet. He was playing Adagnister. Game 1, I think he bricked, and game 2, he also bricked. So despite it being like a less fortunate game for him, he was a good sport about it, and he was going first. And yeah, he was just a pleasure to meet, and he ended up doing really well throughout the tournament with an unfortunate loss in day 2 in the last round against MST.TV. Shout out to him. But unfortunately for Damien, he had a camera disconnect, and unfortunately, due to tournament policy, that does result in a game loss. But honestly, he was a really good Ignister player. He had a lot of good innovations in his deck. It was likely that he could have made top 32 if things were smooth. Round 7, we played against Dominant Couch. He was on Drytron. He was playing a build that I haven't really seen too often. It was a mix of the pack build, playing pre-preparation of rights, the one that him and Asala made a couple weeks ago. He was also playing the Dragoon package, which I wasn't expecting when he was going first. So I did lose game 1 due to him having grenades, being able to pop my Zodiac. I couldn't really break the board. But game 2 and 3, I did open Dark Ruler and hand traps to stop him. So we did end up sneaking a win away from there, 2-1. The only games we dropped so far in round 7, we dropped one game against the first YCS champion and another game against the second YCS champion. Round 8, we play against Drytron again. This is the last round of day 1, and I did take a loss to that person 2-0. I think I just got dominated. There wasn't really any winning any of those games. Gameplay was a little sloppy, but honestly, like, nothing that I can complain about. Cards were dropped, but at this point in the tournament, it wasn't really a big deal. Like, there were 2 cards dropped, but it didn't affect gameplay at all. I lost the die roll there. Round 9, first round of day 2. Yeah, it was very exciting to make day 2. We were X1 going after day 1. We made 2nd place. So moving on to day 2 was kind of confirmed. So we were super excited knowing we're getting that field center. And I didn't even think I'd make it to day 2, so at this point I'm aiming super high. I really want to make it to top 32 at least. So despite that, I take the first round loss today in round 9 to Tri-brigade. I was trying to play around a Lancia because he Lancia'd me earlier in that game. So I go into Zeus and then he Pankrotopses me, and from there it just goes downhill because he's able to rack up the advantage where I'm just not. I did win the die roll in that one. In Drytron, we played round 10 and we 2-0'd that matchup. And round 11 we played unexpected pick from Hakuna Matata, Cyber Dragon. We do play at the same locals sometimes, so I did recognize his voice, but I wasn't sure what he was playing. And then long behold, Cyber Dragons. I knew the deck was very powerful. I played it myself. It can go to Dragoons and such. One of my big blunders was deciding to go second after I beat him game 1. Knowing that the deck can make Dragoons and Infinity, I expected him to go first, so then I started game 2 with Dark Rulers. That just loses game 2. Game 3, he opens up enough hand traps to stop me, and I just can't get the ball rolling from there. So losing round 11, that knocks us out of the top 32 possibilities. I was on the higher end as an X2 with my tiebreakers. Dominic Couch did make top 32, he was doing really well, so congratulations to him as well. There were a lot of big names in my bracket. Lise Davis, Dominic Couch, Mohammed Khan. Oh, there's also Ed Deception. I'm not really sure how well he did, but yeah, there were some big names. Seems like they were all spread out throughout the 10 or so servers. Unfortunately, I guess you could say we bubbled. Last round we lost, and that just knocked us out. We ended up placing 67th overall. I think if it weren't for the last loss there to the Cyber Dragon, we probably would have made it into top 32 with the tiebreakers. So without further ado, let's get into our deck profile. To start us off, we have 3 Tri-brigade Fractal. Obviously we're playing 3 Fractal, 3 kit. Beast Family's too strong. We play the 3rd, Winged Beast, and then we play Karis. 2 Karis being, this isn't the pure build, so we're not exactly grinding out this engine as much. So Karis doesn't really do anything if you open him up with a zoo. So I think 2 is the perfect number. It never really bit me in the butt. That's pretty standard. 3 is always good for everyone but Karis, just so that you can keep the engine going. Next we played 1 Rapier, 1 Ram. We cut it down we cut the Whiptail actually, just because we didn't really want to see Zeus as much going first. And we still played the Zodiac Barrage, so if we used 1, I wanted to make sure that we still had the 2nd left in deck. So the 2nd Zodiac never really came up. It was nice to hard draw Zodiac sometimes, just in case the opponent made some kind of board where they can negate spells and traps. It was nice to just go straight into a Zeus. So that's the reason why I chose to continue playing the Zodiacs. They were good board breakers, they were good making Zeus mid-game. It added a dynamic to the deck that the opponent just wasn't expecting. So like if I would go into tanky and they tried to negate, or if they already negated my Fractal and I tankied, they weren't expecting me to grab a Zodiac. And then they also made good fodder for pitching with Karis. So for our hand trap lineup, we decided to stick to 12 because that gave us a 15% chance of not opening 1 hand trap at all. So it was an 85% chance of seeing at least 1 hand trap. So we went with the 2 Phantasme, 2 Crow, 2 Bell, 3 Ash, and triple imperm. So this is the 12 we went with. If you haven't already noticed, you'll notice that I'm not playing gammas. Reason why I'm not playing gamma is because I feel like it wasn't as high impact as this deck would have been, as it would have been if I were playing Rescue Cat. I do think the Rescue Cat build would have been a little stronger than this deck. Reason why I didn't play Rescue Cat was because I just couldn't find them in time, and I couldn't find Prosperities in time as well. And even if I did, I would have to try and learn how to play the deck a little bit differently. So that's why I chose to just continue on with what I was comfortable with. So if I were to play the cats, I would definitely switch in gammas. So I kept the ashes in because they were just generically good. They rarely came out. They only ever came out in the mirror if I was going first. I had the imprims in because they were very strong against the mirror. They were very strong against Drytron. Same with Ash. The 4 decks that I really wanted to prepare for was the mirror, Drytron, Sky Striker, and Salad. All these hand traps are, as you can see, are pretty strong against all of them. In hindsight, I would have, however, cut one of the Crows and the Phantasmes for a playset of Drolls. So the best deck in the room was evidently Drytron. I'm making this video before top 32 or top 16 plays out at the end of the month. From my match list, you can see that I played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Drytrons out of 11 rounds. It's almost 50% of my games. And something that would have been a lot more high impact would have been 3 Droll. The Phantasme never comes up in the Drytron matchup because if they're summoning a Link monster, it's either a Link Rebo, rarely, to get the alpha off the field, or they're summoning IP Masquerade at the end when they already have Ultimateness with an Eva in the hand. So Phantasme was a lot weaker there. The Crow was okay. It's also searchable, so I think the 1 would have been okay. The Ghost Spells were strong. Ghost Spells were strong at hitting a lot of things. So the Phantasmes, the reason why I put them in there in the first place is because I expected Sky Striker to be one of the top decks to beat. And the matchup is not so favorable if you're going second as a Tri-brigade player. So Phantasmes are really strong against Sky Striker because you get that big body on board and you get the draw and fix your hand a bit. So that's why I have the Phantasmes in here. They're also very strong against Salad, which is why I have them in here. They're strong in the mirror. It's only the Drytron matchup that they're not so strong against. And for that reason, I would have just cut them for Drolls. Bells were good. The Crows were good. Also good discard fodder for Karas. Yeah, and then the Imprims and the Ashes were both genetically good. Although I would side them out to make room sometimes. So I did play 1 Foolish to get me as another starter card. So since everyone but me pretty much is playing Omega, I can pretty much activate Foolish and Fractals and tanking and stuff almost freely without my opponent wanting to Ash or trying to gate it, just because they don't want to fall into Gamma. So they'll try and play around a card that I don't even play. So that was just kind of like a meta call though. Called by the Grave, Zodiac Barrage. This is good, Extender. I liked playing it. I played 2 Talents, which came in really clutch. It was almost like I was playing a playset of Called by the Graves again, just because like 1, 2, 3. Like the triple Tactics talent was good at either taking a look at my opponent's hand and ripping a card out if I had enough resources to make a play, like continue making plays, or enough resources to stop them. If I had absolutely nothing and couldn't make a play, I would probably just use the Draw 2 effect, and that almost always started as well. The Take Control of the Monster never really came up. It did come up when there'd be a Dragoons on the field, but other than that, never really came up. Very good card going first, and not so good going second unless they play Dragoons. I did test with 3, but I found that 3 was a little too much. I saw it too often, but 2, I felt like I saw it. I would either see like 1 and a starter, and that was perfect. Then we have 3 Desires. Yeah, Talents, I just wanted to say for the last time, Talents came in clutch against the Drytron matchups. Triple Desires, I went with the Desires over the Prosperity because there were a lot of the cards in my deck kind of did the same thing. I'm not really searching for 1 card. If I was playing the Rescue Cat build, that'd be a different story. And my extra deck is really tight, playing the Zodiac engine, so I don't really have room to afford to play Prosperities. Then we play the Triple Tinky, which has a nice dynamic with the Zodiac engine because we can search either Zodiacs or Fractal. So those are the spells. Then for traps, we played 1 Imperial Order just because it's a blowout against pretty much every deck if you go first, and it's okay going second. Like, it's so powerful that I don't mind seeing it going second. So if there's one card like that in my deck, it definitely deserves its place. Then we play the triple revolt. Sometimes I decide one out going second just because establishing a board isn't really as important to me, and it's more important to break their board. So otherwise, this is a good card. Having 3 there was great for being able to grind the games. And if you banished any off desires, it was also good to have others. So that was the main deck. We'll go on to the side deck. Side deck, we played 1 Tanker Tops. It was generic. It was pretty good going second against pretty much everything. Maybe it wasn't so good in the Eldlich matchup because they weren't always putting a monster on board. But it definitely would have been good to out the zombie load, so I still would have put it in. Against Drytron, it's only good if you like stop them mid combo. That way they don't have an ultimate to negate it. But still deserves its spot going in there. Then we have the triple Joel for the Drytron matchup, and like add Ignisters if you saw it. The 1 Duster, double Twin. We play this is all our spell and trap hit. We have it there for the Salad and the Striker matchup, but knowing that Drytron was going to be the best deck in the room, I wanted to decide a little more heavily for them. Then we have the triple Dark Ruler. Oh, and one thing that I also wanted to mention was my loss to this Drytron player. He was on stuff like pre-prep, which was very strong, and because I was playing stuff like Phantasme, when I Ash pre-prep, it's just very low impact, whereas if it were a Droll, it would have been a lot more high impact, especially against the stronger search build like that. Then we also played the 3 Dark Ruler, just in case we're going second and we won't be able to hand trap him. Dark Ruler did come in clutch. The only time it didn't was when I drew 2 against the Cyber Dragon player. Would I have played droplets over this? No, because I don't really have a problem getting over monsters. There aren't any effects or anything that I want to look out for. And there's not really many cards that I just want to send other than like Nerval and stuff. But I don't want to just take my resources for granted in that way. Like they get their effect difference, and like I don't really have a problem proccing it because of due to their own like synergy. So that's why I went with the Dark Ruler instead of the droplets. Then we have 2 anti-spells because it was just very good against the Drytron, Sky Striker, Mirror, and even sometimes Sentinel matchups. Just because you stop mining in Sanctuary. I sided 2 of these in because the Imperial Order kind of served as the 3rd in the main deck. And then we have triple Different Dimension Ground. I chose to play this over things like Summon Limit or Strikes because a lot of players were just putting Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twister or Lightning Storm, which is already a blowout against the Tri-brigade deck. I chose to play the Different Dimension Ground instead because it's chainable and it just shuts your opponent off for the turn. Hits Drytron, hits Salad, hits the Mirror. The only thing is it doesn't really hit Sky Striker, but that's okay. So this is chainable. That's why I chose to play this instead. Other options that I thought of were also like Artifact Sanctum with Scythe, but I didn't really see any cards here that I'd like to cut for a Scythe. And lastly, we have extra deck. We played 1 Almirage. Really good for just getting off the Nerval or Almirage. Didn't really feel like I needed to see Link Revo as much just because there wasn't many times where it'd be like normal summon, send to grave, search, pass. Like that came up maybe like once per game. Then I played the 1 Frigid, never really needed 2, never really needed 2 of this. 1 Double Dragon Lord, never needed 2. Doom Eagle was really clutch, especially in the rogue matchups or like Eldlich specifically, and in the Sky Striker matchup where you could just spin Golden Lord, spin Ray. There was a lot more applications than you'd expect from this guy, especially since he's he can get up to 4,800 in the early game. There's a lot more to him than just linking an access code. Then we played the 1 Rugal, double Shirag. There were times where I wanted to see a 3rd, but it never really lost me a game. So since I was playing the Zodiac engine, playing 2 has served its purpose. 1 access code for going for like big damage or just trying to out big boards. 1 Appaloosa. This was the part of the play going first. The starting board would be something like Appaloosa, Double Dragon Lords, Set Revolt, and maybe 1 or 2 hand traps in the hand. So that's primarily what I was trying to go for, especially in the later rounds, as I noticed that Drytron was taking up most of the top tables. In the earlier rounds, not so much because I felt like Sky Striker might be around a lot. Appaloosa is very key, especially in this build. Then we played the 1 Borbo, the 1 Chalkonine, Tiger Mortar, Vespinato. We played Vespinato just in case we needed to just have a floating body or have to beat over anything like an Inspector Border or something. Never came up. I never summoned it this tournament. I've summoned it in testing. This could have been a flex spot. Tiger Mortar, Chalkonine never really resolved their effects, but they're the best Zodiac XYZs, and Borbo put in work to get myself to Zeus. So yeah, that was my Zodiac Tri-brigade deck that I played, getting me 7-0 in day 1 and then 7-1 by the end of day 1, and then bringing me to day 2 and getting us 3 after 11 rounds. So I wouldn't say that's too bad. Very great YCS experience. Shout out to my playtesting group, Rafi, Rudel, Marge, Matt. Helped me a lot with the Drytron matchup. If anyone was following me around as I was playing Tri-brigade at the top tables, thank you for your support. Much appreciated. And thank you so much to the stores that hosted these events, such as Alien Games, Carta Magica, the Side Deck, and Konami themselves. Thank you so much to the judges. Thank you so much to the players. Thank you guys as my subscribers for watching this video. That's everything for today. And remember, nothing beats family. Let's go. Peace out. Stay tuned for more deck profiles and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you guys are interested in how I built my side deck and how I crunched the numbers, be sure to drop a comment in the comment section below. And be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.